Should you invest in a Trump account for your kids? That's a question that a lot of parents with young children, including myself, are asking right now, because the wrong choice could cost you taxes, financial aid, and control over that money at the exact wrong time. So what is a Trump account, and how does it compare to other savings vehicles for children, like 529s, UTMAs, and brokerage accounts? That's exactly what I'm going to cover in this video. Hey guys, I'm Joel, your Big Law Money Guide. I'm a certified financial planner, and I help my clients every day with decisions like this one. So follow me if you want to make the most of your big law income. All right, let's get into it. As part of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, the current administration established a new type of account for parents to save for their children. They're called Trump accounts. They are very similar in nature to traditional IRAs. So family members like parents, grandparents, or even businesses can contribute to these accounts for the benefit of the children. And those contributions are made on an after-tax basis, money from their bank account. And then that money grows, just like in traditional IRAs, it grows tax-deferred until retirement, at which point then the distributions are taxable. The key point with these accounts is at age 18, the child gains control over the account. And at that point, the account grows from a Trump account to a traditional IRA. So it's treated just like a traditional IRA from 18 and on. But because of the tax-deferred nature of these vehicles, there are a few restrictions. For example, before age 18, you cannot take money out in any circumstances. And then at age 18 and up, then because it transitions to a traditional IRA, then it's treated the same way. So any what we call premature distributions, so distributions before the age of 59 and a half that don't qualify for the exemption, get taxed and also assess a 10% penalty. Also, the money in the Trump accounts can only be invested in ETFs or mutual funds that track US indices. So for example, the S&P 500 or Russell 2000. So your investment choices will be limited to those types of options. One of the downsides of these Trump accounts is that investors will need to keep track of their basis in their account, just like they would for a traditional IRA. Because the basis is the money that you've already paid tax on. You contributed from your bank account and so on and so forth. So you need to keep track of that, because eventually when you start taking money out in retirement, that's money that's already been taxed. So you're not paying money on that. You're just paying taxes on the growth that was in the account. So you have to keep track of the basis, which can be a little bit tricky, especially if you transfer the accounts from one institution to the other over your lifetime. And then lastly, to kind of promote these accounts, the Trump administration said that for babies born between 2026 and 2028, during those 3 years, the Trump administration will contribute $1,000 into each baby's account. So it's essentially a free $1,000 contribution from the US government. And so you have to open your account in order to receive that contribution. So those are Trump accounts in a nutshell. Now, what are some other ways that parents can save for their children? Well, the first one, most of you are probably familiar with it, the 529 college savings plan. And just as it says in the name, those are strictly for college expenses. So just like Trump accounts, their contributions to 529s are made on an after-tax basis, right, from your bank account, money that you've already paid taxes on. And then the investments grow tax-deferred, so they grow without being taxed. But then the kicker is if you use the account to pay for qualified college expenses or also some K through 12 expenses, then the distributions are tax-free, making it a very, very tax-efficient way to save for college. Also, there are no contribution limits to 529s as opposed to Trump accounts, so parents can truly fund the full cost of college if they wanted to. And there is no automatic transfer of the account when the child reaches a certain age. So you retain a little bit more control over the money inside the 529 than you do in a Trump account. And if your child decides not to go to college, then you can transfer that account to maybe a sibling or a cousin or even a grandchildren many, many years down the road. Also, if you don't end up using all that money for college, you can transfer up to $35,000 into a Roth IRA for the benefit of the child when they reach maturity. So that's 529s. Another type of savings account for children are UTMA or UGMAs. Those are essentially little trusts that are created by the parent or grandparents for the benefit of the child. So similar to Trump accounts, the contributions made to UTMAs are irrevocable, meaning you can't take money out. And then the key difference is at age 18 or 21, depending on which state you live in, then the child gets the money outright and it just transfers to a regular brokerage account. So at that point, they can do whatever they want with that money. Buy a car, a computer, take a big trip, spend it on clothes. That money is theirs. There's nothing that prevents you from them using it for whatever purpose they want. But because there are no restrictions on these accounts, they also don't have any tax benefits. So they're taxable just like a regular brokerage account. So if you sell an investment at a gain, you will pay capital gains taxes. So if your original investment was $10,000 and then at 18, the value of the account is $30,000 and the child sells whatever investments are in that account, then they're going to pay capital gains on the $20,000 gain. Also, they're going to pay taxes on any type of interest or dividends that were distributed during the year, and that's taxed as ordinary income. Another lesser known technique to save for your children is to use a plain old brokerage account in the name of the parent. The key though is that you earmark that account for your specific goal, so it's not mixed in with your retirement stuff. For example, you may want to save for their first car, or to help them with the down payment on a house when they get married, or for their wedding, or even for college, but you don't really want to put all of your eggs in that 529 basket. Then that's where a brokerage account in the name of the parent would come in really handy. And unlike Trump accounts, 529s, and UTMAs, there are no restrictions on when you can take the money out or when you give up control of these accounts. So for example, if your child becomes a huge brat and you decide that you don't want to buy them a car anymore, you don't have to. This is still your money. You would just have to earmark it for something else. But again, because there are no restrictions, there are no tax advantages. So just like UTMAs, your brokerage account is going to be taxable when you sell an investment at a gain. And again, if there are any interest or dividends generated in that account, it'll be taxable to you as a parent on your tax return. All right, with so many options, how do you know which one is right for you? Well, I like to answer these two questions first. Number one, what's the money for? For example, if you know that it's not going to be for college, maybe you want to buy them a car when they turn 16, or you want to save because you know your daughter's wedding is going to cost you several $1,000s. You know that a 529 is going to be out of the picture because that's for saving for college. Or if you want to just jumpstart their retirement, right? With a Trump account could be a great tool. That I did a quick calculation at initial $5,000, right? If you just funded it in 1 year because of the compound growth and the tax deferred component, by the time your child is 60, so this is if you did this when they're just born, by the time your child is 60, they would have $1.5 million in that Trump account, assuming they never took the money. So that's the power of compound growth. Now, if you don't really know what the money is for, then you may want to err on the side of flexibility. So a brokerage account with zero restriction might be a good option. The second question is, how important is control for you? For example, Trump accounts turn into your child's name at age 18. And even though there are restrictions, and penalties and things like that they would have to pay if they took the money out, they may not realize that when they're 18 years old, and they may see, oh, there's 50 grand right here. I'm going to take it out and pay a bunch of taxes and penalties. UTMAs is the same thing, right? So would you be okay if your child had access to all of a sudden $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 without you really having anything to say about it? So if you want more control, a 529 or a parent brokerage account are your only two options. Bottom line is this, guys. There isn't one best account. There's only a best account for your specific goal. There's always going to be pros and cons to each type of account. Like Trump accounts, they're super tax efficient, but the rules may change and we don't really know, right? Because they're so new. Now, if your child was born between 2026 and 2028, kind of a no-brainer, right? $3,000. 529 is also super efficient, but again, strictly for college. So you're limited to how you can use the money down the road. And then you have UTMAs that can be tax efficient if you use the strategy around the kiddie tax rule, which is for a separate video, and there's no contribution limits. But then you give it complete control at age 18 or 21. And then that leaves you with the plain old brokerage account in the parent's name that gives you all the flexibility in the world, but no tax benefit. So again, pros and cons to each type of account. All right, guys, that's all I got for today. If you need help sorting all this out and figuring out which account is best for you, you can schedule a free introduction call with the link in the description below. Thanks for watching.